Okay, so we're good to go according to this.
Yeah, it shows to be recorded on the top of my screen too.
But Aiken, you have any questions of Chris about? Of course, I know right now Aiken and Flora live in a gorgeous home now, but they've been talking about in the next few years or a year and a half or so of making a move, and you might want to share anything you want to with Aiken, Chris, and then Aiken, you may have questions of Chris.
Yeah, no, I don't have questions per se. I mean, home inspection is certainly something that tickled my fancy. When I saw the invite, I said it would be interesting. I mean, my background is mechanical engineering in the oil, gas, and mining industry. So you can imagine how important quality inspections is to me. Yes. So I'm a project management professional. I've done this for over 31 years now in different continents. So
yes, sir.
I think by now I know what I'm doing. So, but I'm not an inspector. So I will give that to you. Like Jan said earlier, at some point, my wife, Flora, and I were thinking of downsizing because our youngest child, our son, is going to college this fall, which means a 5-member family home will now become a 2-member family home. So, and I don't know that, I mean, I like a lot of space, don't get me wrong, but I think the space will still be too big for us. So we are considering that, but it's not cast in stone. It's a function of, number one, how we are able to sell what we've got and what kind of property we can find. But regardless, at some point, we definitely, even before we invite people to come and have a look, I mean, it would be a good idea for us to have someone like yourself come around, inspect it, advise us of your findings, whatever is it that you think we need to look at touching up or redoing. Yeah, we would not mind things like that. But we're not in any haste, as Jan mentioned. We just want to give ourselves sufficient breathing room. That way, we can actually plan for this. I mean, as a project professional, planning is one of my forte. And the businesses that I've worked with and the ones that I work with now, they always position me with sufficient resources, sufficient information, so that I'm able at any point in time to tell them tomorrow, today, if that makes sense to you. So back to you, Chris.
Well, first of all, congratulations on emptying the nest. That's quite an accomplishment in itself, aside from your professional accomplishments.
Yeah, so, thanks.
Congratulations on that. And you're very forward thinking in considering a pre-listing inspection. A lot of folks don't think that way. And the reason it's beneficial to you is it allows you to educate yourself on the condition of your home prior to entering into a contract. And once you've entered into a contract, you usually have timelines associated with that contract. So if during the course of the purchasor's inspection, they may come up with a number of items, maybe even just one item that is difficult to correct or understand exactly what the best way is to handle within the short time frame of a contractual agreement. So I guess the point I'm making is if your house did have a serious AC issue or your house had some type of issues with the roof you were not aware of, how much better to know that before you put the house on the market and either decide A, to fix it, 2, to adjust the price accordingly, or 3, just have that knowledge in your pocket than it is to find that out when you only have 5 days in the contract period. It can head off problems. Would you agree with that, Jan?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times people put their home on the market or thinking about put their home on the market, and something that nobody sees or thinks about. And I mean, I had a real shocker one time as an agent listing a home, and I looked at the whole inside of the home, And I was so impressed, I didn't look hard. I didn't take a hard look at walking around the home on the outside. And there were 2-inch gaps about this big from the top of the home to the bottom of blank space. And I looked at that. I mean, when they inspected it, they said, you got a problem. You got a foundation problem. And I thought, holy smokes. And I actually had the vice president of the builder met me with his foundation, his structural engineer, and they looked at it and they said it was caused by the side of the home was getting so much heat, and it was because of the brick was not, the brick was concrete based, you know, and so it wasn't a good quality brick. But we ended up, the builder found 2 pallets of that brick sitting in a warehouse in Rosenberg, and they fixed the home, and I still sold it. So okay. I got really lucky.
Chris, what do you look at as an inspector when you walk into a house?
I'll tell you what, if you'd like, I'll just kind of give you the brief 5-minute overview of what my patterns and what my habits are during inspection. You mean to go at it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I generally start, weather permitting, on the exterior of the home. And probably 2 of the most important things during the home inspection is evaluation of the grading and drainage around the home and how that affects the performance of the foundation and how the foundation is actually performing from what you can see. Obviously, there are portions of the foundation, whether you're outside the home or inside the home, that are not visible during inspection after a home's construction is completed. But on the outside, obviously, we're looking for any cracking in the foundation, and we look for any indicators within the wall systems all the way up to the freeze boards moving into the roof. If you have significant significant foundation movement, you'll see it in more than one area. It won't just simply be in the foundation. You'll normally see it in 2 or 3 or 4 different ways. The exterior home, that could be cracked brick, veneer, or stone. Inside the home, that could be radiating cracks from the windows. That could be windows and doors that don't shut well. And if the damage to the foundation or the movement of the foundation is significant enough, oftentimes you'll feel it as you walk through the home. You can actually feel it just through your sense of balance. Let's see, while I'm outside the home, of course, I'm also looking at the roof, walking the roof at all times when possible to look at the condition of the covering materials, the roof jacks, and so on. Having a good look at the AC equipment. If the electrical equipment is present outside the house, I'll look at it, but I like to do so after we've had everything on the house, including the AC system or the furnace, depending on the time of year, for some time, so that we can look at how the electrical panel is forming. For those that hire me to use thermal imaging during the inspection, I actually have a thermal imaging camera, if it'll show up here. And this allows me to see hot spots in the electric panel. Inside the home, the benefit of this technology is it allows me to look for leaks also. Not thermal imaging cameras you're probably familiar with in your engineering background. It shows both hot and cold. Yeah. And so when I get this thing to continue to show up, if there were to be a wet spot in the ceiling, it may not necessarily be visible to our naked eye. The damage may not be significant that it's actually showing through the sheetrock, but a camera of this nature would pick that up prior to that being visible to the eye. The same thing with hot spots in electric panels or perhaps receptacles. It allows us to see that type of data that we wouldn't see without it. Let's see here. When I go inside the house, I normally start and work my way throughout the house in a pretty methodical type of arrangement. In each room, I'm looking at the operations of all the receptacles, the windows, the conditions of the walls, looking for any of those indicators of foundation movement. The kitchen, of course, is a busy area with evaluation of all the appliances. So that includes, of course, your dishwasher, garbage disposal, the range and the oven, the range hood itself. Typically, refrigerators aren't evaluated. They usually move with whoever is selling the home. course, in the bathrooms, we're looking at the operation of all the plumbing fixtures, so on and so forth. That would include any massage tubs, toilets, sinks. Going into the attic, looking at the mechanical equipment is very important. A lot of times you can tell a lot about the performance of an AC system by looking at it in the attic, and that includes the condensation, drain systems, the secondary catch systems. Same thing with the furnace. Also evaluating the quality and depth of the insulation, the field of insulation in the attic area, and looking for any structural defects within the framing members themselves. So I guess that's kind of a very rough, broad overview, but usually start from the inside, work my way inside the home, then into the attic cavity. Of course, sometimes when the weather is inclement, we'll reverse that order. We'll start inside and work our way out, hoping for a break in the weather. But inspections can be done in wet weather, believe it or not. And oftentimes you get a lot of valuable information. A lot of times leakage or punctures in the envelope of the house itself become evident that you wouldn't see unless it was actually raining. So there is some value to that. Although it's not necessarily preferred for us to be out in the rain, it can be done.
That's good. That's an excellent overview. Thanks, Chris. That was very good.
Yes, sir.
Most of that, Aiken, I'm sure you know, but at the same time, it's good to hear somebody explain exactly what they do. And every inspector, and I've dealt with a lot of them, every inspector has their own way of doing things. But I mean, I personally have good experiences with Chris and his thoroughness, and that's real key.
Thank you, Jan. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, I guess a couple of other things we evaluate, you would consider them additional items outside of normal home inspection or the termite inspection. And so I do carry a commercial applicator's license to be able to do that, and it allows us to look a little more in depth, not just for termites themselves, but for conducive conditions that may allow termites to infest the home later without you really noticing. If the home has pool, septic, irrigation, we also evaluate those systems as well.
So when someone, just to that point, when someone asks you to come and inspect their home, do you have different levels of inspection, or once they ask you to come inspect their home, you do everything that you need to do?
So far as the home inspection, yes, the same for each one. If the house is built in 2020 or if the house was built in 1895, I'm going to be looking through the same systems with the same level of detail. Yes, sir.
Okay, got it.
I guess the only difference is those who elect to have additional, I guess, systems evaluated, such as the irrigation, water wells, the things that I just previously mentioned. That would be the only difference.
Okay, yeah, that's right. But at least you'll make sure you inspect everything that they've got within the perimeter of the home.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
That makes sense.
And I guess
Chris, you may want to explain to Aiken of the phase inspection process that you could do on new homes.
Yeah, absolutely. Throughout the phase inspection process, what we prefer to do is to show up just the first inspection. The first phase would consist of an inspection just before they pour the concrete. So we're out there looking at the forms. If it's a post-tension cable type of slab, we're looking at the positioning and the cradling of all the cables and their arrangement. We're looking for reinforcement in the corners of the foundation, the manner in which the plumbing has been laid underneath the foundation structure, and looking for the appropriate grades and things of that nature. The second phase would come just before they dry in the house, just before they hang sheetrock. So that gives an opportunity to look at the framing in a manner that you'll never see again. Obviously, once a home is constructed, you know, it's a visual inspection only, so we're not doing any destructive entry into the walls. During the phase inspection process, we get to see all of that. We get to see everything in the roof structure and the walls, including the electrical, the plumbing. And then the last phase, of course, is just like your typical home inspection for any property that's changing hands. We come in and look at everything again and put all of the systems, which are new at that point, through their paces to make sure they're doing what they should and meeting their parameters. And that usually wraps it up.
Okay, so that's an interesting one, which I never actually thought about. So do you find individuals asking you to manage the phase inspections of their homes being built, or do the builders engage you themselves? How does that? Because I'll give you an example. Like this house was built for us a little over 10 years ago in 2009. We moved in November 20th, 2009. And between August, when I first showed up, August 2009, when I first showed up, and that November 20th, my family wasn't here all the time. We were in Australia, in Perth. I was here probably for about 2 months. The remainder of my family members were here for about 2 weeks. And then so we kind of shuttled between Perth and Houston during that time period. So the thought of even inspecting, the home was built for us. So the thought of even inspecting or doing face quality assurance or whatever and control, that didn't even cross my head at all. So my question to you, Chris, is do people typically engage you if they are building a new home to work for them so that you can be responsible for the first inspection, or is it the builders who engage you?
It is typically the person purchasing the home, and to give them the peace of mind that things are in order and are as they should be. Some builders do have an inspection process of their own, and of course that varies from builder to builder as to how in depth that is and how effective it is. But yes, so the work that I would do would be in the instance for you if you were to be building a new home.
Okay, that's good to know. That is very good, because I never actually thought about it that one could do face inspection. Because it's interesting you said that, because in the real world of project management, we actually do that, as you will expect. I mean, so even before you spot, before you break ground at all, we'll go there and do a lot of inspection, do environmental assessments, do all kinds of community awareness, and do all those kind of stuff. And then as the project is being executed, you realize that we continue to do routine inspection.
Flora.
Now I have to pause now. The director is here in the house.
The boss is home.
Stop it. Please, this is my resident director.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Flora.
So,
Hi, how are you?
she was the one that made me know Jan, because without her, I wouldn't have known Jan, like Jan said earlier. So, and for me, as she knows, I like Jan's spirit. I just like him. So when I get any email from him, I read it. So any invite like this Zoom now, she knows I should be doing something else. But I said, no, I will. This is Jan's stuff. I will.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's good to see. It's good to see the boss show up.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't sure if the boss was going to show up, and it wasn't my own place to invite the boss. So,
Well,
yeah,
anyway. It's good. I'm sorry for not logging in to participate.
Yeah.
So,
That's all right.
but I just thought I would show my face anyways.
Are you, Flora? Are you about to catch up from the tax season, or are you kind of kicked back and relaxed now?
I relaxed a few weeks ago, but I'm back. I'm slowly getting back into it. So I'm hoping to be able to get fully back maybe by the end of this month, because some people are still not ready to do their tax.
And so, and I know that I know from what some people have told me that have you doing their taxes. Some people are, behind and filing their taxes, and some people are 2 or 3 years behind. I can't believe that.
Oh, yes. I've had people call me for 5-7 years. I said, wow. You have to watch it, because sometimes when the statute of limitation is already passed, then it's better not to just bring it up. Otherwise, you are going to be in big trouble.
I don't know how people could be in that kind of situation and still be able to sleep, go get a cup of coffee, still be able to love others and be able to walk around. I mean, I lose my mind. I don't. It's just not me. I don't like to default in anything.
I didn't know there was a statute of limitations related to the IRS. I thought they had ever-reaching authority.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even sometimes you think that the statute of limitation is passed, but then, for every IRS rule, there is a but.
Yeah.
So if they discovered that there was a 1099 that was filed on your behalf that was not reported, that's unreported income, no, they will bypass the statute and get at you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
Are y'all still going to the Fellowship Church?
Oh, yes.
online.
Pkwy, yeah.
Online. Yeah, the church opens next Sunday.
Oh, it's going to open.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna open it, but we're not planning to go on Sunday. We'll still let them open first and see how that goes, and then that's our own way of managing the risks.
Now, y'all still going to the original church and not the other campus, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the West Park. That's where we belong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we belong. So so Chris is an home inspection specialist.
Oh,
He has
okay.
been educating us on home inspection and stuff. So that's
Cool.
that's actually a fascinating topic, as you will expect from me. And he's been very helpful in educating us about home inspections, when the scope, and so that's good. And he was just saying that he actually does staged home inspection or phased home inspection.
Oh, that's
if you're
good.
building a home, we can actually bring him on to be a home inspection specialist, so that from time to time, depending on the project progress, he can go in there. He will tell them that at this
so
point,
that they
I like to
fix
see
it.
it. Yeah, I like to see things when
Yeah.
you get to this point. When are you going to get to the point? And they can liaise with him directly,
Oh,
just like I do in the real project world.
Oh,
And then so
That's
that's
good.
which I never actually
That's
thought
good.
about.
I've
So,
never heard about that.
yeah,
but
so and I was
that's
telling them
good.
that even when this house was built, we couldn't even do that anyways for two reasons. One, we didn't know. Number two, we weren't here 100% of the time why the house was being built. Anyway,
Aiken, one thing I was going to share with you, I've actually had builders working, and I was working with clients, and I've had this happen a half a dozen times over the years. And they say, well, we have inspectors, like Chris said. And I said, well, we want to bring in an independent inspector. And they said, well, you can't do that. I said, well, let me explain something to you. I'm going to recommend that my client not buy your house if we can't bring in our own inspector. And then they change their tune real fast.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Because what people forget is that that pays the piper dictates the team. I mean, that's what the Englishman says, and which is true.
Yeah.
If you are paying the piper, you should be dictating the team.
Sure.
Yeah. So, no, that's good to know.
Along the lines of your question, another valuable inspection opportunity is just before the builder's warranty runs out. Of course, you have a 10-year warranty on certain structural items, but basically your bumper-to-bumper warranty is for 12 months. So in that 11-month, it's wise to consider having someone come in and inspect it to A, either purchase a peace of mind that everything is still as it should be, or B, be sure that the builder takes care of the things for which they should be responsible that aren't operating correctly.
That's astute. That's a brilliant point. That's very true. Unfortunately, I mean, just like with a lot of things in life, all these things cost money eventually, but people don't take care of it. It's just like having an investment. How many people actually look at their investments the way they spend energy to do their work? I mean, you've made this money, you're investing in. Now you're working really hard, but you could actually spend less time working hard and focusing on this investment so that you understand how the investment is performing. If there's need for any course correction, you can course correct right away, rather than waiting till later and then you realize, oh, geez, I didn't even think about that. So a lot of things, I mean, life is give and take. What I've found out in life, I mean, particularly talking to some of my team members and friends, is that things that actually matter, that would determine our tomorrow, how we live our tomorrow. We don't focus on them today. It's just like family. I mean, somebody was saying it the other day that There has never been a time when somebody was at the end of their life and they asked them their regret without them talking about their family. Nobody will talk about job that, oh, I wish I worked harder. I wish I did work this more. I wish I worked this many jobs. People talk about friendships, relationship, family, children, that sort of thing. So, and it's vitally important for us, in order for us to have a decent future, we need to look at where our today is and where we want our tomorrow to be so that we can come up with a clear path into getting to that tomorrow that we desire. So.
Yes, sir. Sounds like words of wisdom to me.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Chris, another question. What kind of education does an inspector have to have, and what kind of experience does he need to have?
Yeah, good question.
That varies from state to state. Texas is probably one of the, if not the most stringent state out of the 50 so far as their inspector education and requirements. There are some states that don't require any certification whatsoever. You can show up and claim to be a home inspector and off you go. My training consisted of, let me think now, I believe it was 430 some odd hours of training. Most of that, a lot of that was classroom training. A good portion of it, though, also was field training, where we were accompanying experienced inspectors on inspections and actually going through the process and doing that in the field. So in the state, the licensure process consists of the 400 some odd hours I'd mentioned, the actual field work, and a comprehensive examination, both a state examination and a national exam that you have to pass before you can earn that licensure. And then the last thing that they have you do before they'll grant you a license is to be sure that you're properly bonded and insured.
Okay. So
and there are lots of successful inspectors out there, some of which have been in the building trades and some of which have not. It's interesting what different perspectives bring to their ability to inspect. Folks that have built homes and been around construction, obviously they have some valuable insight there. But I've also known a number of inspectors who have an engineering background or various types of other backgrounds, and their attention and viewpoint may be somewhat different from the guy who's built homes before, but nonetheless still valuable, and they do a good job as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris, if you were not in the business, what would you look for in an inspector whenever you start looking for one?
I think my number one question would be to try to determine their level of thoroughness and how much time they're going to spend evaluating the home. An inspector that spends several hours, and it depends, of course, on the home size and age and number of complexities. But a good inspection, if you have an inspector who's only there for an hour and a half, that level of detail might not be quite where it should. You want someone who's going to spend the time to go through all these systems that we mentioned, and that's really not possible in any size home in an hour and a half. So, you want somebody that's giving it the time that it deserves. And really the best way, I think, to gain that level of comfortable or satisfaction is talking with them. And maybe perhaps looking, at their past bodies of work. Most inspectors these days will post inspections on their website if they do have a website presence, sample inspections. And so that's a good way to get familiar with their quality of work also.
Yeah, no, I guess the flip side of that, Chris, is, to me, if somebody is buying my home, for example, and they call me up that an inspector is coming and it's only going to be here for 30 minutes, I think I should jump for joy and say, yeah. Right?
Your punch list may be pretty short if that's the case.
Exactly.
I actually had an inspection yesterday, and the house wasn't terribly large. It was about 2,000 square feet. It was about 13 years old, and the inspection took about 4 hours. And as we were leaving, the homeowners were ready to come back into the house. They'd been gone at work, and they actually entered the home. And they were like, well, my gosh, we didn't think you'd be here so long. Our home inspection, the one for the house we're purchasing to leave this home, that took an hour and a half. And I'm thinking, well, you might want to call your inspector for the rest of the inspection. I'm not sure.
Yeah, thoroughness is very important.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I'm not in any way here to put any other inspectors down. There are a lot of good professionals out there in our industry. But thoroughness and level of detail is important in the evaluation of something as important as your home.
Okay, that's good. Do you have a website presence, Chris?
Yes, sir, I do. The name of our company is Paragon Inspection. Our website is I'm sorry.
Yeah, that name kind of rings bell. So, Paragon.
Yes, sir. Paragon Inspection. And our website, our URL is paragoninspectiontexas.com.
Texas full or TX?
Full spelled out, TEXAS.
Okay, ParagonInspectionTexas.com.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll definitely look you up.
Thank you. I'd be honored.
No problem. I mean, I'm doing this for Jan. I mean, jeez. Whatever Jan asks me to do, I do. So, all right.
Yeah, all right,
So-
thank you. Sorry, I have to leave.
Yeah, I believe
Busy
in
with some
about
other projects.
yeah.
See you, Flora.
All right,
All right,
have a
thanks.
great
Bye.
one.
Yeah, in 6 minutes. Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah, I
Chris.
probably will be leaving in about 6 minutes myself.
Chris, what would a typical inspection cost?
It depends on a number of factors, but it's based mostly on square footage, somewhat on age. So our pricing structure starts at $350 for anything 2,000 square foot or smaller. And of course, the additional items that we offer for inspection, such as the termite inspection, the septic, irrigation, water well, and so on, there are additional fees for those. As the house grows larger in size, of course, the fee structure changes. And for houses that are beyond 30 years old, there's an additional charge for those because those typically take a bit longer. There's typically quite a bit more to look at in an older home that has probably had, renovations, has had some system changes and things of that nature.
Okay. Now, just along that line, if you say we engage you now to inspect our home, and you have a few actions for us to take, do you have tradespeople that you recommend to your clients in the event they need help and they don't know where to go get the help?
Yes, sir. We do. We have a trusted resource page, I'll call it. Let's see here.
Okay.
I actually pull a copy of it out. But the short answer to your question is yes, absolutely. We
Okay.
have, and I'm sure Jan has this too throughout his many years of experience, but we have contractors that we have experience and we feel comfortable that they do good quality work. I don't know if this is going to show up on the screen.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't think it is, but
That's
yes, we do. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. That's good to know. Because sometimes some of us who are not very familiar with this area, I know Flora is more familiar now through BNI to know a lot of people. But me, I just sleep in this house. I don't know a lot of people. I don't know a lot of things. So it would be very reassuring for someone like yourself to inspect a home and to be able to say, well, in case you don't have someone that you can call, here is a list of people that we believe will do a good job for you. That's actually very good.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have some folks we trust, and I know that Mr. Gillespie does too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's important, Aiken. I mean, I have people, let's just say I sold them a home 10 years ago, and they'll call me up and say, I need a plumber or I need an electrician. And I always have a resource, and if I don't, if I know I can't put my name to them, then I'll say, I'm sorry, I don't have anybody. I don't have an electrician in the Woodlands, as an example.
That's good. That's good. That is good. And because of the multicultural nature of a city like Houston, people come, people go. Definitely, there will be need for clients to ask that kind of question. Okay, so where do we go? Now, I mean, it's a so what kind of question. Now that you've recommended all these things that we need to fix, so what? So what's next? Where do we go? And some people are just clueless. And it's not their fault. They just don't know. Again, maybe they start Googling or they look for, I don't know whether people still carry yellow pages or whatever. And it's not the same.
You're right. And, this scenario that you speak of kind of lends itself back to our discussion of a pre-listing inspection. If you've had that inspection and you know what repairs need to be made to the home and you know which ones you're willing to make, that gives you more time to make those investigations, seek out those referrals, and get the work done right.
Yeah.
Without being under the pressure of a contract lingering over you.
Exactly. That's good. Very good. Very helpful.
Aiken, what do you think of a monthly Zoom meeting similar to this with different guest speakers, like maybe having one with a lender, having one with Flora be the tax expert, and
Yeah, I know it's good. It's good. I like it because once you know that there are topics that people can relate to or that will resonate with people, because that's very important. That okay, you know your audience. Okay, what's going on right now that you believe people would generally need? Okay, now summer months are approaching. What do people typically need during the summer months? And who do you have that can provide that kind of services? Maybe you might be able to look at your pool of resources and be able to identify someone that can speak well and they walk their talk. Because some people, they can talk about what they do, but they don't do a good job.
sure.
So you know that from your years of experience. So, and it's very easy for some of us to decipher that. If you're talking to someone who doesn't know what he's talking about, it's very easy to know.
Yeah, well, I definitely would make sure, because I'm putting my reputation on the line. I definitely would make sure that I got the person that's going to do the job.
So to your question, I think it's a brilliant idea. If you can identify resources like that can come on this platform and talk to people. I mean, look, almost everyone is at home right now, and I know more people are going out these days. But on a Sunday afternoon like this, rather than snoozing and snoring, it's good to come in here and actually have a chat about things that matter, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I was going to kid Flora about, but she left on me, is you have to tell Flora that when Flora first did my taxes, I went into her office and it was almost like I had a wheelbarrow full of backup paperwork, and I'd hand her something and she says, the only thing I need is that top page. Throw everything else away. She was so funny.
Yeah, no problems. So anyway, it's really nice talking to you all. Hey, thanks, Jan, for organizing this. Thanks, John, and thanks, Chris, for all these educative views.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the talk. Thank you.
We appreciate you, Aiken, and we appreciate you joining us.
Oh yeah, anytime. Once I'm not traveling, once I get your email, I'm putting it on my calendar right away. I said, "This is Jan. I've got to be a part of it."
Good deal. And you have a good evening. Okay.
You take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right.
Bye.
Chris, you got any last thoughts, any wisdom to share with us, or that we can share with the Jan's clients?
Any wisdom?
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I would say so. Golly. In the inspection world, I don't know that I have any words of wisdom that go beyond what we've already covered, other than to, choose a trusted resource for your inspections. But that goes beyond inspections. That goes to speaking with Jan and finding the right people to service your mortgage needs, to service your appraisal needs. And that's why folks like Jan are such a valuable resource, because they have so many years in the industry and they can give you that direction. So, speaking in terms beyond just inspection, Jan, it's great to have guys like you who can guide us through the rest of the processes, because nobody knows all of it, at least not from the consumer's perspective. Very few of us know all of it. So we appreciate your expertise along those lines.
Well, thank you, Chris, sincerely for being our guest today and for sharing your great expertise with us. And conceptually, any discipline that you think would be good to be a guest on one of our Zoom meetings, just drop me an email or send me a text and let me know who they are and what their their discipline is.
You know, I would say off the top of my head, you've already mentioned a couple of valuable ones, but I think during these hot months, it would be excellent to have an AC guy on and talk about the health of AC systems, how to maintain them, what the costs are to replace them. I would think that that would be interesting to me for sure.
Okay, that sounds good. And
What about pool guys?
Sure.
Don was asking about pool construction.
Yeah,
Well,
no, I think it'd be interesting.
Either construction or maintenance.
Well, there's a lot of good ones out there, and Chris, you may have someone there that you feel real strong about. And
We've, you know, the honest answer to that is I've had some good experiences with a couple of them, but I'm still really looking for that one that I want to put on this list. So
I got you.
I'm still searching for that one. I have a number of those slots filled, and so if you know of one, share it with me if you would.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to compare a list. Okay.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. And Don, do you have any other items on that you want to add?
Tell him about your new page on your website. He may be interested in that.
Yeah, what I have done for the people that my clients and business associates that are taking a look at this video, I've added another great resource of so kind of like social media, but it's on my main website. And if you hover over about, you'll see it. You'll see a deal pop up that says news, and it's through a National Association of Realtors site called RIS Media, and they put out some extremely valuable information about homes and care of homes and what's going on in the market. Very informative, but it's not anything lengthy. You can go online and look at it quick and easy reading and very informative.
Okay, I'll check that out. I'll have a look.
Yeah.
And we will be putting out to MailChimp. We'll be also talking about RSI Media going to his social media pages, the information they put out about that. We finally got them controlled. Instead of dumping 50 stories at one time, they're now putting one a day.
That's good. Yeah, I want to do information overload.
Well, that's why I cut them off, because you couldn't find open houses, you couldn't find price increases, and they were just too much. So, but their articles are the best I've seen.
That's good. That'll be a valuable resource, Mr. Gillespie.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris and Don, if y'all have any other potential guests for these Zoom meetings, let me know. And I think Don mentioned, and I need to follow his lead, that the next one we need to have an RSVP, so we'll have a better idea. And it's good to see Aiken join us, because he's always informative to listen to, and he has some very good questions.
Yeah, smart individual for sure.
Yeah,
smart guy.
A great guy, and it's good to see Flora join us. But thank you very much, Chris, and Don. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay,
Been a
y'all
pleasure.
have
Good
a
to meet
good
you,
evening.
Yes,
Call
sir.
me,
Thank you.
Dan. Call me.
Okay.